Okay, welcome back, folks, to Transportation Inc. This is our last chapter, chapter 12 in the original story. There is a DLC that we'll be doing a series on here in just a little bit, but let's go ahead and dive in here. We are in Australia, so another new space to get to work with, and just like normal, I'm going to go through and build out our basic stuff. Okay. So let's go ahead and restart that. This one took me by a little bit of surprise because I bought one thing and went bankrupt immediate. I don't usually look at how much money I start with because it really doesn't matter in a story mode, except apparently now because I only have $28,000. So what we're going to have to do is we're really going to have to tend this money. One, find a spot that we can build in that's going to allow us to do everything. We have a lot of other companies that are competing with us, but we can't buy them or do anything with them. There's no stocks or anything like that. So this one's going to be a little different because eventually we're probably going to have to compete with them on their own turf without buying them out. But we're going to go with this nice little short route here. It doesn't cost us anything to set a route, and then we're just going to buy the only thing we can afford, which is a single bus that is traveling with nobody on it because, yeah, $45 is apparently too much for that trip. So we can't really even afford any upgrades to our bus, so we're going to have to adjust the pricing down a little bit to see where we're at. And $45, again, it's not good enough, so we'll bring it down to $40, and hopefully that will allow us to, there we go, get some people on board. And we're only going to be making just under $1,000 per trip, so it's going to take a little while to go through. We're going to go into the time-lapse mode here. The entire game from start to finish as far as Chapter 12 goes took me roughly 50 minutes, including the immediate failure that I had. So not a terribly hard or long campaign, but this one has a few little unique challenges. So the big thing is just waiting out and seeing how long you can kind of transport stuff before you can buy stuff. Now, for me, what I did was I added on another vehicle. So I have two vehicles and the depot there. And then we're going to go through and just slowly start upgrading things. Usually, I don't really care about upgrades as far as when we add more comfort, you're supposed to increase the ticket price because people are willing to pay more for more comfort. I usually don't do that. In this scenario, I was very tedious about how I did that because I really needed to make sure that I was getting every dollar that I could out of this because, again, I only started with $28,000. Last time I checked, most transportation companies don't start with $28K, although it is impressive that I can buy a bus for $20K. So we went and expanded over to the west part of this, is it province or states? I don't know. Sorry, Australia. But we're going through. We're just going to start trying to connect any routes that we can to have little bits of things. And you'll see that I generally try to make sure that I have a central hub with a depot, and then I can start connecting things through them. So we have this all going on. That's all well, nice, and good. And unfortunately, we keep ending up in the red for a little bit of time because we're spending money on our drivers and all that. So we're just going to keep adding on routes and hopefully saving some money here so that we're going to be able to get some trains. Trains are going to be a good way to transport lots of people very quickly. Later in the scenario, some of the trains that we have can transport 200 people and do it far faster than any other transportation method other than planes, which I actually didn't try to go for planes in this one because it just costs too much money and they don't transport enough, like $2 million to transport or $3 million, to transport the 30 people is just too much, and then $6 million to transport 180 is nice, but I can buy a train for less than half that can transport more people. So we're going to go through here. We did add on the state area there that nobody else can go through, and we can see some of our competitors have lots of vehicles, lots of things going on. Over on the top right, you can see that I've been behind in the count for passengers for a while here, but we are quickly catching up as we add more and more vehicles and try to fill in that network. And we just bought another state here. That's what I'm going to call them. Sorry, Australia. But we went through and added those on there. And eventually here, we're really raking in good money at this point. We're pretty quickly being able to afford things. So we're going to start adding trains and a couple other things in here. But we're roughly halfway through the scenario at this point, but we're almost done this video because once you get enough money to start investing in some of the things, like you see my trains going in here now, once you have the money to do that, it's really, really easy to just pour it on and to go through and do everything. So I got some trains that can transport 110 people, some of the fancy trains that only transport 40, you can upgrade it to 60, but they pay out really, really well, and they don't cost a lot compared to some of the other transport methods. And then we got our big fast train in there. And at this point, we're almost done. We have 143,000 people, and we should be just about ready to go. I did buy the state up to the north there, and I'm starting to try to connect it. And I honestly wasn't even paying attention to how close I was to winning, but I'm going to win here in just a moment. And number 37 on the leaderboard. And that's all there is.